Ford and Ram have been using solid front axles in their trucks pretty much since the beginning of time, but a couple decades ago, GM decided, nah, let's try independent front suspension. And we all know how great that is.
GM's like, nah fam, what if we take a solid front axle, make it independent, but not make it ride any better, and make it weaker? Sound good?
The Ford still has a solid front axle. This is independent front suspension. There's no axle here.
So while my truck hasn't had a catastrophic failure like that, my tie rods are starting to show signs of wear.
So the front end on my 2015 Duramax is a little messed up. No idea why. So it's getting a complete suspension overhaul. I got a whole bunch of parts to beef up the front end, and every Duramax really should have these because their independent front suspension really isn't that strong.
To keep my front end from coming apart, I went with the PPE steering upgrade, which includes a heavy-duty center link, pitman and idler arms, and heavy-duty tie rods. Now I'm also doing Cognito upper control arms, and I'm replacing an axle that's starting to fail and throw grease everywhere.
That's a lot of parts. It's going to be a lot of work, so might as well start pulling bolts off. Hopefully they're not rusted and seized on there. But it is raining, so that's good too.
I'm going to start with the upper control arms, which is pretty easy. There's only 3 bolts holding them on, and then I'm going to work on getting the tie rod off and then start removing the axle. And man, these new parts sure look a lot nicer than the old ones. I just have a lot of grease to clean up left behind from that failing CV boot. Now, one requirement with these upper control arms is you have to cut away the old bump stop tab, and that's so these new ones can get full articulation.
Not going to need this part of the frame anymore.
And with the cutting out of the way, I could squeeze in the brand new axle.
One axle installed.
While that paint was drying, to make sure it doesn't get rusty, I started working on the center link, pitman and idler arms, and tie rods. And then of course I had to repeat everything on the passenger side. With a lot of air hammering, sledgehammering, swearing, and help from Tim, we got the center link out.
Nice. Rat Moss jacked this thing up. Seems pretty sturdy. Ooh! My boss is the complete worst. Another workplace accident. If you've ever had something similar happen to you, you may be entitled to compensation, and that's where Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm, comes into play. When you're seriously hurt, your injury could be worth millions. Morgan & Morgan don't settle for lowball offers. And if you don't win, your fee is completely free. And what's great is it only takes a couple of minutes to find out if you have a case with Morgan & Morgan. If you ever got seriously injured, your case could be worth millions, and you're only a few clicks away from potentially changing your life. You can start your claim now with Morgan & Morgan at forthepeople.com/Matt Ross.
Or you can also scan the QR code on screen.
I don't think I've ever done a Pittman idler arm on anything, so I was not looking for this.
The steering components aren't that fun to remove, but luckily the control arms are super easy to install.
Alright, so I'm gonna have to slide this over again. Yeah.
Oh, I see.
Is it hot? No. That's what you got to do to get a Pittman arm off. Get a custom Harbor Freight welder, weld it to the custom Harbor Freight puller, and yeah, that's outstanding. So for visual aid, this is my Pittman arm puller. So what was happening was, this is the Pittman arm as it was in there, and we would tighten the screw. The jaws of the Pittman arm puller would flex open, then the Pittman arm would just, this would come right off. So we tried beefing this up. I mean, it was pretty tight on there. We worked on this for hours in the dark, and then Tim finally ended up welding this to the Pittman arm, and well, that did the trick. The sad thing is, this truck is only 9 years old. Like, imagine doing this in like an 01 Silverado. That would be a complete nightmare. Definitely don't want to do this again.
After a very, very long, tiring day of work, here's where we stand. The truck in pieces, not complete.
That was a pretty ridiculous amount of work. See, I'm covered in filth, and I'm still not done. It's late, Tim's heading home, I gotta head to bed. We'll wrap this up tomorrow. All right, time to finish up the suspension. I'm excited to get this done.
I got all the rest of the suspension components installed and bolted up. I even went around and greased every single fitting that I could find. There was only one problem. I installed the center link upside down. Luckily, flipping it around was pretty easy and, well, you guys actually got to see it on camera.
You're welcome for doing that twice. I don't know whose idea it was to pressure wash this before I was done underneath. That guy's an idiot. That guy's an idiot. It's you. You're the idiot. There it is, finally back on all fours with the beautiful parts just poking through. Now I've got to see how it drives exactly and that I installed everything correctly. I'm going to see what it drives like. I can tell you this. The steering is freaking tight, like there's no slop in the wheel at all. Freaking great upgrade. The only thing that's not great is I need an alignment really, really bad. This is probably gonna be tough even just to drive it to the dealership for an alignment because I got the tie rod length way off. I thought I had them close, but I guess not. I might end up doing like a string alignment or something before I go because it's bad. But all in all, huge thanks to PPE for providing these front end upgrades. Now I know my front end's not gonna simultaneously fall apart. Maybe I could even do a boosted launch. Because I need some other stuff that matches those upper control arms now. It's actually way worse than I thought. Both sides are super, super towed in. The actual outside of the tire, you can see just in that short drive, started to wear, and it's even hot. So I can't drive it like that. Not even the short drive to the dealership. That would not end well, I don't think. That looks much better. Certainly not perfect, but it's worlds ahead of where it was before. That's way better, guys. Now it's actually driving kind of straight. Definitely still needs an alignment, but now I feel comfortable driving it to the alignment shop. Now in order for this to look, well, not so old and crusty, because the hitch is really the worst part of this truck as far as corrosion, I want to get that out of there and get it powder coated to match the other suspension components. Oh, that hurt. I hope that was on video. We got a whole bunch of bolts to remove, a whole bunch of big bolts. Let's get after it. Oh my God, that's heavy. Oh, holy crap. That sucked. You know, the issue is I have a whole bunch of crap in this bed that I got to get out. Well, these wheels are a secret. Don't tell anyone.
Lost Fit was kind enough to send out this bottom bed cover. It basically covers the complete bottom of your bed to protect it, and it's form fitted.
You see like the paint stains and stuff, that's all from the previous owner, so this is going to kind of take care of all that, just make it look a little nicer and protect it. Wow, that is a really nice fit. I'm sure it'll deform a little bit in the heat and look even nicer. And I'm going to use this for when I pick up the parts to keep them looking nice.
I get the hitch along with a bunch of E30 suspension parts dropped off at the powder coaters, but it's going to be a few weeks until that's done. So hopefully you'll see that in the next video.